Hello and welcome. Now it's time with Car Talk. I'm going to talk about perfection. Is it hurting the car community? Well, you could ask around about all that and get different answers, I'm sure. In my opinion, it is hurting the car community. There are so many things that we look at now in the car community. Perfection. You go on the internet, you post pictures of your car. Someone is very proud that their first time fixing something, and they post it online, and you get these people that come on there, well, that's not right, you didn't do this. And some of it is actually needed, such as, well, you probably should have done this because it's going to last longer, or that's actually not set right, so it's not going to work, so you just need to reset this to this and you're good. Then you get some people that just come on there and just, oh, you're wrong, you're stupid, you shouldn't be touching cars. That is bad. It gets a lot of people out of the hobby. A lot of people don't care anymore because they're doing the best with what they have. And, for it's not their 100th time doing it, so they're not perfect at it, It's not practice makes perfect. Practice makes you better. The ideal perfection is just from person to person. And I can take this truck here, again, an example, because this is a good example. Is it perfect? By all means, no, it's not perfect. There's flaws all over this thing. But you know what? If someone was going to try to make this truck perfect, it'd sit for a while, has to spend so much money on it, or it's not perfect, and you can drive the hell out of it, not worry about too much. Because I'm not a big fan of a show car. Why? Because if I had a flawless paint job and flawless everything, I probably wouldn't want to drive it. And that's true for most people. But again, get these people to buy a car and be like, I can't believe someone did this to this vehicle. Because it's not perfect to them. It's not absolutely identically perfect to what it should be. Well, a lot of times, unless you're spending big money on a concourse restoration or something like that, it's never going to be what it was from the factory all these years later. Such as aftermarket body panels. I'm not opposed to it. Make them fit, drive the car. Floor pans, trunk pans, all that. You know what? Unless you get a perfect stamp piece that is a full solid one piece and just put in the bottom where you can spot weld it back original, well, it ain't going to be perfect. You buy patch panels, patch what you need. That's not how it was from the factory, but guess what? It's going to get you down the road and enjoying your car. And I've seen stuff throughout the years from working on vehicles and my dad doing the same thing I did. And, he saw it years and years ago how people would knock on other people's builds because that wasn't right. You're doing it wrong. You don't need to touch this. And no, him from knowing from experiences, one, you have to start from some point. You're not perfect your first time. So he knew that. And he saw stuff that was patched, fixed, or whatever in some ways where led you, like those perfectionists would think it's trash. My dad, growing up back in the 50s, 60s, 70s and all that, he didn't have a big aftermarket. He watched his dad work on cars, and he worked on cars. And it came to the point where they knew that we either had to go to the salvage yard, find parts, make them fit, cut out how we had to cut. They didn't have the tools that we do now to go out there and, I got a cordless cutoff wheel and I'm just going to, nope. You had to either spend hours taking a piece out or go find a piece of metal, like on a trunk pan, and just make it work. And you get people ragging on that all the time, but my dad always said, well, that's all we had back then. So you get this old vehicle that was rebuilt in the 70s or fixed in the 70s, and they're just like, man, I can't believe someone ever did that. Well, didn't have the tools we do now. Didn't have the access tools because not everyone had a little welder they could just have in their garage or in their shop or whatever. They didn't have all these power tools like we have access to now. They, as my dad said, they made do with what they had to keep their car on the road. Now, granted, eventually some of those evolved into better and better because over the years' practice, they got better. But the ideal of perfection, it just seems to create a negative effect to me. Again, I'm not a all originals kind of guy. I'm not numbers matching. I can appreciate a concourse restoration. Am I going to go out of my way to do one? No. Do I have the patience? No. Do I have the money? No. But it's the ideal of perfection and the way some people treat it on other people's builds, it's just not good for the hobby. I've seen people bash someone, let's say, on a trunk. Redid their trunk. They wanted to protect it for years to come. So what'd they do? They wire brushed it all after they fixed it all. Got all the rust out. Took the new metal. Took the coating off a little bit. And put bed liner in the trunk. Then they undercoated the bottom side. Of course, you get people, oh, that doesn't belong in the trunk. Well, one, it's their car. Two, if you're not a numbers matching, all original kind of car, you want a trunk that you're going in a car that you're going to drive, enjoy. Let's say you're going to throw tools in the back, a jack, and not one of those old school jacks. I mean, like a new modern jack. You don't want it rolling around and scuff stuff up, messing up stuff. So, of course, yeah, you could strap it down somehow. They didn't really have anchor points in those. So if you add anchor points, then people are going to. Some of those people are, well, they didn't have that. Well, again, it's not their car. But the ideal of the bed liner and trunk, perfection seen as bad. I see it as a good way to protect your trunk. Sound deadener, heat protection, rust protection, and damage protection. But apparently, of course, not all of us think the same, and that's okay too. I think over the years we've become, I don't know, I think the internet has led to good things and bad things on that. Again, because you get these people that come at other people. If it's their first time, they did the best they could. If you give them just critique, maybe a little bit, be like, okay, you do it again, try doing it this way. Fair enough. But to go in and belittle someone because they've done it themselves for the first time is never good. Because we all got to learn somewhere. We're not all perfect from the get-go. There's still plenty for most of us to learn, including those perfectionists. There's still plenty that they can learn because you'll never be perfect. But someone who is trying to do the best they can and learning as they go, there's nothing wrong with that. We need more of that. Now, yeah, that may hurt some of these shops, more people doing their own work, but you know what, let's be honest. Hot rodders back in the day, they did their own work. And guess what? They drove their cars and enjoyed them. A lot of them perfect. By all means, they were not. But it didn't matter because they could enjoy them. And that's really all that matters. So yeah, here's a little rant from me on Car Talk. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, thanks for watching.